Hello everyone, Enzo here, back and ready to tell more stories. Now, with the recent success of the Morthal miniseries where we pretty much talk about its statehood in terms of growth and conquest, I figured why not continue this train and talk about the other cities in Skyrim. I think each video will be unique in its own right because each city has its own positioning that gives it advantages and disadvantages depending on the scenario. If you missed the video of me discussing whether or not Morthal was worth conquering and how I would grow it, I will link them in the description below so you have an idea on what kinds of videos these will be. For today's video, we will be taking a closer look at whether Dawnstar is worth conquering. Similar scenario to the last one, if we were warlords looking to conquer Skyrim, where would Dawnstar fall in our priorities list? In addition, what advantages and disadvantages would it provide us should we conquer it, and how would we go about defending it? I was wondering in what order I would be presenting the cities in, but I figured I'd just go in clockwise rotation. Sorry for the Solitude lovers, you're going last, and Whiterun, everyone's favorite city, is going to fall somewhere in the middle. So sit back, relax, and tune in as we discuss, is Dawnstar worth conquering? Dawnstar presents to us different geographical features than Morthal did. Dawnstar is located in the Pale, which is the coldest region in all of Skyrim. Pivoting to real-life events, specifically World War II, we have seen that cold and snowy regions can provide some tough challenges for anyone who looks to invade specific lands, thus providing Dawnstar with a layer of protection. Get it? Because of snow? Anyway, moving on. Dawnstar has mountains to the south, a rather clearish mountainous region on the east, and some rough terrain mixed in with some smooth pathing on the west. Of course, one can invade Dawnstar by water, as you can land ships across a wide gap, covering more ground. However, this might not be the wisest choice, especially if you are looking to field a large army. Dawnstar is bordered by the Sea of Ghosts, a body of water that is full of mystery aside from the dangers of the icebergs and glaciers. Even if the so-called mysteries of the water do not provide us any harm, the idea of glaciers and icebergs can be an impediment as many ships may not even make it to Dawnstar in an eventual conquest. So I would probably not start my conquest with Dawnstar even if it is vulnerable. I will say though, the approach from the north would not be the first time Skyrim was invaded. In ancient times, the Atmorans began their quests from the north side of Skyrim, mainly because Atmora was located to the north of Skyrim and were able to have successful conquests. But comparing the situation between Skyrim then and now, there are more structured cities and established defenses, while back then, the ancient cities of Skyrim only came about because of the Atmoran conquest. Where and how would I approach this invasion? Well, I wouldn't want to leave the waters open. There is still some space to maneuver ships, so I would probably send either a raiding party or reinforcing troops from there, but the bulk of my approach would come from the west. Ideally, I would want to surround Dawnstar, leaving them with no opportunity to escape or regroup. So I would also land a party to the east, blocking any possible escape. But I would base my main force on the west. This essentially means that I would have to already conquer Morthal before approaching Dawnstar, which I think would be the best course of action. But of course, if you don't agree, feel free to let me know in the comments and what approach would you take. And of course, if you are liking this video concept, leave a like and subscribe so you can see more Elder Scrolls content. Very similar to Morthal, Dawnstar is not likely to hold a large defending force, so it would not take a large army to defeat them. However, would Dawnstar be my starting point when beginning my invasion of Skyrim? Probably not, especially if my entry point is gonna be from the Sea of Ghosts. In reality, I probably won't attack Dawnstar first considering how hard it would be to field a large force through the Sea of Ghosts, especially if my goal is the eventual conquest of all of Skyrim. I would need a very large force in a city that can host a base of operations for them. Now, to see it from the opposite point of view, if Dawnstar was under attack and I was in charge of defending it, how would I go about doing that? Well, Dawnstar has the advantage of a tower overlooking it, which is Nightcaller Temple. This is also ironic because Nightcaller Temple has also been the source of Dawnstar's nightmare problems during the events of Skyrim. But we are gonna go with the assumption that all of this has been solved prior to the start of this invasion. I would immediately make sure that the Nightcaller Temple, as well as the lighthouse close to the Dark Brotherhood's sanctuary, are on high alert. Very similar to Morthal, the surroundings of Dawnstar can prove to be a good defense, as the natural coldness of the Pale can prove to be a challenge for any unprepared invading force. but because Dawnstar is not a walled city, it cannot be used to repel a large invading force. So it would be likely that I would only defend it for the sake of getting the women and children out of the city and retreat to the closest allied city. Of course, if Dawnstar was the only city left standing, then the defenders are kinda screwed. But once again, we're just speculating here. Perhaps I should create a video detailing a warpath if I were to invade Skyrim as a warlord. I think that might be fun. In addition, I would also prepare an escape by boat. That way, we have multiple points of escape. Even if we were attacked from the shore, it is unlikely that the invading force is large enough because of how dangerous the Sea of Ghosts can be, leaving us enough room to field a small few ships should we need to escape. The battle pretty much is a means to defend ourselves long enough for the citizens to escape. It is unlikely Dawnstar would be able to receive reinforcements quick enough to help repel the force, considering the closest cities to it are Morthal and Winterhold, two cities that are just as small as the other. Now, to address the elephant in the room, is Dawnstar even worth attacking? Well, Dawnstar is one of the 4 port cities in Skyrim, and the advantages of having a port city always makes it worth it. In fact, considering the great collapse that occurred in Winterhold, one can't even classify Winterhold as a port city as of the moment. So there really only are 3 main port cities. The waters surrounding Dawnstar always provide for good fishing, which is something we can mention in the How Can Dawnstar Be Improved video, but there are still opportunities there. Dawnstar is also known for its mines, so having that access to the ore deposits can allow for equipment and other materials to be crafted from the materials found in Dawnstar's mines. Dawnstar is also our port of entry from any communications from any northern lands. Whether it be merchants or even invading parties, Dawnstar can be used as a means to get an early warning to the rest of the province at such an event. I think considering how much of an attachment we have had to all the cities in Skyrim, it's hard to make an argument for any of the cities to not be worth invading. Although I can say that there are some worth conquering more than others, each city provides its own opportunity, as well as challenges, if one dares to invest the resources they need in order to reap those rewards. As someone who is a fan of medieval warfare, having played different RTS games, I think the idea of analyzing the cities in a state of war is interesting, considering that Skyrim is a province that is rich in war, and it's disappointing that we don't get much of that in the game outside of the Skyrim Civil War. But I do appreciate some of the mods implementing the warfare aspect of the game, and I will admit, some of them look beautiful. And that pretty much is my spiel on whether or not Dawnstar is worth conquering. While it is not an important city in terms of political status or position, it does provide resources that will aid any army or entity that rules it, and can provide opportunities for future invasions. If I missed anything on this topic, let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel to check out more Elder Scrolls content. Other than that, this is Enzo signing out, and I will see you all soon.